Hey, everybody out there in soccer loving land. Just wanted to break down a little bit about what's going to go on in match day 6 in the UEFA Champions League. Big day tomorrow. Uh, a few games of importance. I think the one that's probably the biggest game of the day is the direct outcome will probably determine who moves on. Uh, Liverpool playing at home at Anfield has lost to Napoli earlier in this tournament. Napoli currently holds the lead in Group C with 9 points. PSG, Paris Saint Germain, is right behind them with 8 points, and PSG has the easiest draw tomorrow with Red Star Belgrade. Although Red Star Belgrade pulled off a stunning upset of Liverpool in the group stage, unlikely that they'll pull something like that off against PSG. PSG is playing really hot right now. They're healthy, they're fit. Neymar and Mbappe, Cavani look like they're just firing on all cylinders. So Di Maria, it looks like a strong PSG moving ahead will likely lock up their spot. So this game between Liverpool and Napoli tomorrow is the game that's going to determine the group of death. Who moves on? If Napoli wins, they win the group, and that would be huge for them. If they tie, they probably come in second in the group. In any event, if they tie, they're moving on. Uh, Undoubtedly, if Napoli loses this game tomorrow, if they stay within 2 goals, in other words, if they lose by 1 goal, they're assured to move on. However, if they lose by 2 goals, things get interesting. So, Liverpool has an attack that can do damage. They have an attack that includes Mo Salah, who was the Premier League Player of the Year last year. That includes Roberto Firmino, who is a wonderful artist on the field, Brazilian. Sadio Mane, who is a super fast left winger, can get behind just about any team's defense and put the ball in the net. They have a great defensive midfielders, central defensive midfielders, in Jordan Henderson, um, defensive center backs. In spite of what Neymar says about Liverpool, they're a good quality side, and they can provide some difficulty for Napoli tomorrow, to say the least. However, having said that, I think Napoli is a strong side. They have some pace about them. They have some guys who can really burn, and scores. They have defense. Koulibaly on the defense central back is capable of putting the ball in the net himself, but also is a lockdown defender. Um, I'm looking at this game as a very exciting game. I think if you watch ESPN and analyze their games, it's they're for Liverpool. A lot of the national and international media want to see the EPL teams win. They kind of want to bury the Serie A teams, and I don't understand why. Serie A teams have fared very well against EPL teams, and maybe it's a jealousy thing. Maybe it's an issue with not wanting to admit that there are other leagues out there that can compete with the EPL. And maybe it's the Serie A mentality that they come in and they put it on the line. They know that they're not regarded as highly as the EPL, so they play their hardest against the EPL teams. In any event, it's going to make for an interesting matchup, and I really look forward to following that tomorrow at 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock from Anfield. If you can catch it somehow live, I highly recommend watching that contest. There's another game that's going on tomorrow that really will determine who moves on from the group stage, and that is Barca versus Tottenham. Tottenham had just got a result in their match day 5 against Inter Milan, which kept them in the running, and they're tied with Inter now. And if Tottenham somehow pulls off a win against Barcelona, and Inter Milan loses to PSV Eindhoven, then Tottenham moves on. So this isn't a direct matchup between EPL and Serie A, but it is a a result between those two teams that, or among those two teams, that will determine who moves on between the EPL team and a Serie A team. So we'll see how that turns out. You got to believe that Barcelona is going to provide a stiff challenge for Tottenham tomorrow. Tottenham's filled with quality players, but they've got to face Messi now. He's back. I don't know if Suarez is back in the lineup. I don't think he is for Barcelona. I know they've got some other key injuries. I think on their back line, Umtiti, their center back, is still out. I think their central midfielder, one of their creative central midfielders, Arthur, is out as well, which creates some problems for Barca. But it's a game that's at Barca, and I believe Inter is playing at home against PSV Eindhoven. So on paper, you would think that Inter Milan has the better chance of moving on, and I think their goal differential is exactly the same. So goal differentials are not going to matter in this. It's going to be a win-loss. If one of the teams ties and the other one wins, the winner moves on. If they both tie, I quite frankly don't know what the tiebreaker is going to be in that circumstance. I don't know who scored on whose field, but that may be what it is, the away goals. But in any event, that's a very interesting matchup and an interesting game that's going to two interesting games in that group going to determine who moves on. So there's still a lot of drama heading into tomorrow, and a couple more days we have ahead of us in match day 6 in UEFA. We have a couple more games that are coming up that won't determine necessarily who's moving out of the group stage, but will determine um, who gets the higher seed. So I think in those circumstances, it'll be interesting to watch what else is going on around the groups for match day 6. It's exciting times. I can't wait to see how the matchups come out after tomorrow's games. I'm obviously hoping for Napoli to win. Inter Milan is a fun team to get behind, but Tottenham is too. I mean, Tottenham has a lot of good players, so I really wouldn't be broken up if Tottenham moves on out of that group. I just know they have a tough matchup with Barcelona tomorrow. So there you have it. Breakdown of the UEFA Match Day 6 for December 11th. You also have games on December 12th and December 13th. Keep an eye on what's going on around there, and we'll be back to break down some games in the future and maybe come back and analyze the results from tomorrow. So if you have any questions, comments that you'd like me to address, any topics that you'd like me to address regarding any of the leagues. I didn't talk about La Liga too much other than Barca. Didn't talk about Juve today, Juventus, um, or some of the other teams that have done really well in this tournament. If you'd like me to touch on some of that, I'd be glad to. Manchester United is a surprise of the UEFA. They are right now second behind Juventus, and I think they have a chance of. I believe they may have a chance of upending Juventus for that league, um, for that group, number one. I'd have to check the standings again, but they're very close, and because they beat Juventus, I think they have a chance. But that's one of the things that has kept um, Man United and their coach Mourinho relevant this year. They've fallen out of the top four in the EPL, but their results in the UEFA has uh, has kept things kind of interesting for Man United in a positive way. So I know there's a lot of Man United fans out there in the U.S. I know there's of course a lot of Man United fans out there in England. If you have any questions or would like me to talk about my thoughts about Man United this year, um, I've watched a lot of their games. I've watched a lot of their highlights. I'm really not focusing on them for this particular segment, but I'd be glad to give you my perspective about um, their interesting season so far. So please, if you like what you see today, subscribe, hit the notifications button, follow me on Twitter on Butchered Sports, and I'll see you next time.